Marvel may have just had their most insane weekend ever. I mean, we kicked off Friday with the release of Deadpool and Wolverine, quite literally the most anticipated film of the last few years, and in my opinion, and in many others from what it seems, it freaking delivered. Not only receiving critical success, but also a massive opening weekend box office return, breaking all kinds of records. But the crazy thing is, that is not even the most talked about thing of the weekend. San Diego Comic-Con took place over the last few days, and Marvel easily stole the show with all sorts of announcements and reveals. They spent the majority of their hour-long panel discussing 3 upcoming projects: Captain America Brave New World, Thunderbolts with an asterisk for some reason, and the Fantastic Four, now given the subtitle First Steps. I don't really like that little addition, if I'm being honest, but who cares? Based on everything that they talked about in the leaked concept trailer that they showed at the convention that I definitely didn't illegally watch, it all looks awesome, or shall I say fantastic. But no, this is genuinely the movie I am most looking forward to in the coming year, right alongside James Gunn's Superman, which both, funny enough, release in July of next year. Comic book fans are going to be eating good that month. Anyways, after they finished talking about the Fantastic Four, there was only about 10 or 15 minutes left in the panel, so people were starting to feel a little underwhelmed and worried that no real big announcements or news were going to be revealed. And oh man, were they wrong. About a week ago, there were heavy rumors that the Russo brothers, the same guys that directed Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, were going to be returning to direct the next 2 Avengers movies, and that honestly got me super pumped. During these last 10 minutes, the Russo brothers were brought out to confirm that they were returning to direct, and Stephen McFeely, who co-wrote both Infinity War and Endgame, would also be returning. This really got the fans, especially myself, very excited. This creative team is really something special and literally have the best resume in the world to qualify for the job of directing an Avengers movie. Now, here's where things got even more exciting. The Russo brothers started talking about Secret Wars, revealing that it was coming out in 2027, but they saved Avengers 5 for last. This movie was originally titled Avengers: The Kang Dynasty and was set to continue the storylines of Kang set up in Loki and Ant-Man Quantumania. But due to mixed reception to the character, developmental troubles, and most of all the fact that they had to recast Jonathan Majors after some events in his personal life, this movie didn't seem too promising. So Marvel and the Russos revealed a new idea for the 5th installment in the franchise, retitling the film Avengers Doomsday, which would focus on a new big bad for our heroes to face off against, Doctor Doom. And I mean, how can you not be excited about that? Doom isn't just a big bad, he is the big bad. Everything was looking so good, people were hyped, there was excitement in the air, and now all that was left was to finally reveal who had been casted as the iconic Victor Von Doom. They brought out an army of people dressed as Doom, but one emerged from the center. After all these years of fan casting and speculation, this is finally the moment we find out. Is it Cillian Murphy? Is it Javier Bardem? Is it Mads Mikkelsen? My friend texted me the news and I genuinely thought he was joking, and then I saw all the reports flood in. My initial feeling, as I'm sure it was for you as well, was confusion. I was obviously excited to see RDJ back. I mean, man, he's the GOAT, but I just couldn't shake this feeling of frustration in the decision. It's been a couple days since the announcement now, so I've given myself time to sit on this and really see how I feel about it. I've been reading articles and watching videos on this topic to really understand both sides of the argument, and still I just can't get behind this decision. To no one's surprise, there has been an insane amount of arguing on the internet about the decision, with people trying to justify the casting, but in this video, I want to articulate why I think it's the wrong move for Marvel. Also, let me just say right off the bat that even though I don't really like this direction, I am in no way saying it can't work in the end. I am just a fan, and at the end of the day, I'm rooting for Marvel to succeed because I just want to watch some badass movies with the characters I've grown up loving. I want to start off by highlighting the arguments that people who like the casting of RDJ are saying. One of the most common that I've seen is that Robert Downey Jr. is a fantastic actor and is coming off the back of an Oscar win for his role in Oppenheimer. You see, RDJ's acting chops is in no way being questioned by me. I think he can definitely pull off a sinister and intimidating Doctor Doom, but that's if he didn't already play Tony Stark, the literal main character of this universe, the anchor being of the MCU, as they would say in Deadpool and Wolverine. My fear here is that no matter what he does with the character, no matter how good the performance is, it will always be overshadowed and compared to his role as Iron Man. And I feel that just takes so much away from Doom as a character. What's so interesting about the situation is not only will he be recognizable to us as the audience, but he will also be recognized by the characters within the story. And that's weird. Like, say Daniel Radcliffe was casted as Percy Jackson, a few years after playing Harry Potter. Sure, a lot of people would feel weird about it because they associate him so strongly with Harry Potter, but if he put in a good performance, people would overlook it eventually. The difference there, though, is that he would be playing a character in a whole other universe where no one in the story would acknowledge that he looks like Harry Potter because Harry Potter is not part of Percy Jackson. What's happening with Robert Downey Jr. is more like if Warner Brothers were like, hey, Daniel Radcliffe, people really like you as Harry Potter, and you are a great actor, you should play Voldemort, but not a single character acknowledges that he resembles Harry Potter inside the story. You see how that would just be weird? So again, it has nothing to do with RDJ's acting chops, but all to do with the 10 years we spent with him as the main character of the universe and how hard it would be to get that out of people's heads. There are so many incredible actors out there, and for the Russo brothers to go out there and say that RDJ is the only one who can play him is just such bullshit. My pick would have been Mads Mikkelsen, and I know, he's already been the villain in Doctor Strange, but obviously Marvel doesn't mind recasting actors as new characters. And I mean, come on, no one actually remembers that character. I'll give you $20 if you can tell me what his name was. The other argument that I've seen a lot is that if you are mad about this, then you are a fake comic book fan and haven't read the infamous Iron Man run where Doctor Doom becomes Iron Man for a time. This one really makes me mad because I know for a fact more than half of these guys saying this didn't know this rendition of Doom existed until they watched some video explaining it after the RDJ announcement. But ignoring that fact, I still can't get behind that argument. Comics are insane. They deal with characters and storylines that have been around for 50 plus years, so after a while when characters start to get stale, they shake things up. One of those examples being infamous Iron Man. Sure, it's a cool story arc, but it is in no way the definitive version of Doctor Doom that audiences have been wanting to see on screen for years. It's like if DC told us we were finally going to get a good adaptation of Green Lantern, and instead of giving us Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart, we get Batman as Green Lantern. And yes, even if that is something cool from the comics, it is in no way the version we want to be starting off with. Sure, it would be cool to see an alternative version of Doom and have his identity be revealed to be an evil version of Tony Stark, but that only works if you already had this really good faithful adaptation of the traditional Victor Von Doom and built him up over time to be the next Thanos. Let me remind you that Thanos was first introduced in the first Avengers movie, and through phase 2 and 3 you really felt his presence as it built up the payoff in Infinity War and Endgame. It was announced that Avengers Doomsday will be releasing in 2026, giving the MCU less than 2 years to build up Doom as a threat, and so far we've got nothing. I'm assuming we will be seeing him in some way during the Fantastic Four movie, but it just feels really rushed. A lot of fans are saying this is an embarrassing move that reeks of desperation and that Marvel is just trying to generate cheap hype to get seats in theaters, which I can genuinely see. My biggest issue here is that it feels like Marvel is underestimating themselves and the loyalty of their fan base. Yes, sure, the Multiverse Saga has been pretty hit or miss so far, but all it takes is for 1 or 2 truly good films to come out and people will get back on board. I mean, look at films like Guardians Volume 3 and Deadpool and Wolverine. People still want to see Marvel succeed, and I still think they have the patience to sit back and enjoy well-crafted long-term storytelling with good old-fashioned setup and payoff. I want to be introduced to a whole new blank slate of a villain in Doctor Doom, watch him grow, terrify us, and build a rivalry with Reed Richards, but it doesn't really feel like we were going to get that, at least not fully, because no matter how you want to spin it, whether he is Victor Von Doom or if he is an evil Tony Stark variant, as long as he is being played by RDJ, we will associate him with Iron Man, and that really sucks in my opinion. Now, a lot of fans are trying to justify this casting by saying that Marvel doesn't have enough time to develop a proper Victor Von Doom, so the best way of going forward is to bring in a temporary variant of Doom for the next 2 Avengers movies, and then after Secret Wars, they want a soft reboot of the MCU with everyone being recasted so they can finally actually do a proper version of the classic Victor Von Doom. And like, guys, come on. You are bending over backwards to defend this decision. It's so overcomplicated where it literally has no reason to be. From what I've seen so far, it looks like we are getting a definitive adaptation of the Fantastic Four, one that feels like a family and looks like they are ripped straight out of the comics. It would be such a slam dunk to pair them with a new actor also portraying the classic version of Doom. It really feels like Marvel are shooting themselves in the foot here. It is reported that Marvel is paying RDJ more than $80 million to return, and if that doesn't seem desperate, then I don't know what does. If they truly had faith in their stories and characters, they wouldn't have to rely on the return of a megastar to carry the hype and get people talking. Marvel, people still love you. People have patience and want to see these stories done right and be rewarded for being invested over a long period period of time. Literally every outcome of this casting just feels wrong. If he is some kind of Stark variant, then it just feels overcomplicated and is way less interesting to me than actually bringing in the real Victor Von Doom, the character fans have been dying to see in the MCU. And if this is actually just straight up the real Doctor Doom of the MCU, then it's even more stupid, as it creates a problem for us, the audience, as we spent over a decade being conditioned to see RDJ as Iron Man, and it would be stupid for the actual characters within the MCU to just not recognize that this looks just like Tony. Sure, you can argue that he will be disfigured and have a mask on, but why pay RDJ 80+ million for that then? At the end of the day, the biggest issue is that the casting of RDJ is all people are talking about and not the actual character of Doctor Doom. He is literally the greatest Marvel villain of all time and one of the coolest characters in all of fiction, but the long-awaited introduction of Doom is being overshadowed by the real-world casting of the character, and that is why I believe it is wrong. Like I said earlier, in the end, I'm sure that this will work in some capacity. I have faith that the Russos have some sort of interesting angle to take here, but I don't really want that complicated, interesting angle. I just want a faithful adaptation of the greatest villain in all of Marvel Comics. Like, the only thing I could see working here is if they use RDJ as an alternate Doom just to get destroyed by the real Doom, who is way more powerful, potentially even God Emperor Doom, but it all just feels so overcomplicated. But hey, maybe I'm completely wrong, and I truly hope I am. I want them to prove me wrong, because I am a fan, and I just want to see the characters done right. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with my points? Are you worried about the direction they're going with Doom, or are you on board and just happy to see RDJ back in the MCU? I'd love to hear your take on it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.